Testing, testing. We've got 4 people ready to win a moment. Hey, I think it's working. We are live officially. Don't need that there. I just got to put the chat up so everyone can see. Okay, so the way that the way that YouTube decides to show the chat, it requires that it shows that, like, welcome to live chat. Remember to guard your privacy. So I apologize for that being there, but let me make sure that you can hear me. Okay, you can hear me. So I guess it's time to start the stream. Who is ready to potentially win a DiFluid moment? Why is it laggy? It says that OBS has dropped 0 frames, but it seems like Camo is losing all kinds of frames. Let me just make sure that we're okay. Okay, it's sending the feed okay. Hopefully what you guys are seeing is smooth, but just to be sure. Hey, Harrison Fontenoy. All right, people are joining. Let me know if the stream is laggy or if there's any issues, but in the meantime, at least you can hear me. And I want to tell you about what's going on today. So we're going to be doing more than just the drawing, but we're definitely going to be doing the drawing. So this is Omics over here, and this is Moment, which is not framed properly for what we're going to be doing, but I've got a profile on here to give you a little intro. So essentially, when you're using DiFluid Moment, what you want to do is program all of the specific flavors at all of the specific flavor regions into, so like if you're like from like 60 to 50 degrees Celsius, or if we're in the States, I can't remember what that temperature range is in Fahrenheit. I apologize. You would be like, okay, so you're going to kind of taste like mango is the main flavor, and then we've got kind of like some other citrusy flavors, and you can put that for each temperature region. But because I am now currently doing a just random coffee that I haven't set up a profile for yet, I've put in what I call mindful tasting. So we've just got like it's a mindful way of tasting your coffee so that you can help build those notes later. So I'm going to go continue here. And so right now we're at Cold Truth. I'm going to take this coffee here that I just brewed. This is the same coffee that we're going to roast in a second. But before we roast, after I show you this and before we roast, we're going to do the drawing and see who wins the moment. You will get a new one, not this used one right here. But the idea is phenomenal pronunciation. I'm glad. Thank you. I appreciate that, Harrison. Okay, so let me before I continue here, let me quick edit the transform on the chat. And I'm going to make it so that it goes closer to the bottom. In fact, let's just do 0. And then we will move this up, because I don't think you even really need to see the bottom of those curves. And there we go. Now you can see much better. Cool. Maybe even down a little bit. Okay, so you can see everything clearly. Now, I'm going to give you a little idea of how Moment works, and so bear with me here. I'm going to change the angle of the camera so that you can see a little clearly here. Well, of course, it decided to flip upside down. I'll fix that in a second. So let me lock this in place where you can see the coffee. All right, and then here's moment. You can take a look at that. And then let me stand in front of the other camera right here and let me flip it so that it's not upside down for you. There we go. Whoa, but it's crooked. Hey, now it's clear. That's what we want. Okay, let me see if I can get this. Phenylium macallum. Am I right on that? Phenylium macallum? Okay, let's see. Can you see moment properly? Now you can. Okay, so this is the coffee that I brewed. I don't know if I brewed it very well. I did it kind of in a rush here because I was trying to get this stream set up. But it's the idea that matters more. Check out this super awesome cup we've got. There is nothing in the cup, so obviously that's not going to mean anything. And interestingly, I actually set up the flavor regions in Celsius, but the display I have set to Fahrenheit. So that'll be easier for you to see, depending on if you are used to Fahrenheit or Celsius, I guess. Where are most of you watching from? Because it is middle of the day US time, so it's probably not very many Europeans watching. But could be some Asian people, could be some, it's probably it. It's either Asians, no, probably not Asians, because they'd be in the middle of the, what time is it in the rest of the world? Okay, so let's put this coffee that's actually been sitting here a little while. I haven't gotten a chance to taste it yet. So right now it says it's in the sweet spot for, kind of for the regular drinking. All right, welcome, welcome. Welcome from Costa Rica and UK, 10 p.m. here. All right, I'll try to get to the drawing quickly, but first we got a show-off moment. Ooh, Australia, nice. That's pretty far away. I really want to go to Australia. But anyway, okay, so right here it says it's the perfect time for tasting sweetness. Let me clarify. I very quickly created this profile for Moment right before the stream, and I used AI to do it. And I did not check my work. So I'm trying to express an idea here, and there may be some weirdnesses, and I apologize for those weirdnesses because I don't know what it means by cane, but it probably meant cane sugar. So that's what you're expecting to taste. 3:05 p.m. from Mexico, huh? 1 a.m. where? You said 1 a.m. Wait, did you say so? Oh, from the UAE. Oh, nice. Man, all over the world here. So everyone probably wants Celsius, and I've got it sitting here in Fahrenheit. So here, let me quit real quick. We'll go to settings, unit. We'll change it back to Celsius, and we'll go back to our mindful tasting here. Okay, so we're at 44 degrees, and so we're looking for depth, balance. This may not be super accurate, but it gives you an idea of what it is that you're doing. You guys probably, honestly, know how to utilize the idea better than I do. I just know how the technology works. Hey, that's pretty good. So the coffee that I'm tasting right now, yeah, I can definitely taste some sweetness in there. It's getting pretty cold at this point. 44 degrees. Very drinkable temperature. The coffee that I am tasting is this one here. Let me put it in front of the other camera. Make sure you can see properly. So it's I know the person who grows this. Well, he doesn't grow it specifically, but he owns the processing station. Actually, not for this one. Man, I'm giving you all kinds of misinformation. So the guy who exports this coffee from China, from a region called Mengdian, he owns a company called Yunnan Coffee Traders. And one of the coffees that he partners with is from a processing station called Badu. He also owns a processing station, but I wasn't able to get his coffee specifically. And then this is just an importer. But I specifically chose this coffee, A, because it's a natural, so I'm trying to learn how to roast, essentially, and I want something very normal and simple. And also, I really like the uniqueness of Chinese coffee. It seems very underexplored at this point because it's so new. It's actually not new. It's many, 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 many years old, but only now is it reaching like specialty coffee grade. And so people are actually starting to want it rather than it just being like commodity coffee. And so it's quite interesting to try different Chinese coffees. So we're at 43 degrees. It says we're focused on body now. Texture, weight, silkiness, coating, grit, if there is any. There isn't. Ooh, I'm missing lots of messages here. Okay, so very, very nice. Watching from Nepal. Awesome. Chinese processing is also amazing. Some wine process into coffee, truly unique. Yeah, so there's actually like a... I had a coffee previously. It was a high ferment. And it was the first coffee I ever roasted and didn't really understand how to roast, and also roasted it in a cast iron pan, which was not a good idea because I burnt the crap out of it and it did not taste good, and I didn't get to appreciate it until much later when thankfully, so to fill you guys in on what this whole setup is, Airwave is a roast smoke purifier. I don't know how much you guys know about DiFluid and what we make, but this guy won Best New Product in Geneva at World of Coffee, and it's really hard to show exactly how good of a job it does. And so being in the States and unable to roast and not knowing what I was doing and not being able to roast inside, I reached out to Just and I said, hey, I want to learn how to roast. I want to do this live streaming series where I like ask everyone in the chat, how do I do these things to get better at roasting, and at the same time show off that it can do it literally inside using Airwave. So they lent me this roasting machine so that we can show everything off. So right now, let's start heating up so that we can do a roast. And it's connected to Airwave here. And we'll put our little award up close so you can get an idea of how it works. At the same time, we will show off how Coffee OS works. Yeah, pan roasting. You can actually, if you go back on my Instagram, not the DiFluid Instagram, but my personal Instagram, my name is The James Corwin. In fact, I'll type it here if you want to go look it up. The James Corwin. I have lots of videos on my Instagram of that pan roasting before I finally got the roast. Just. I asked them how to pronounce it, and I always forget. I apologize, my Norwegian friends. So anyway, yeah, that's Moment. That's how Moment works. That's what Moment does. Right now we're at 40 degrees, still cooling down a bit. What do you guys think of this cup? You guys want one of these cups? It's pretty crazy if you pay attention as the coffee is cooling down. If you don't constantly keep drinking it and you wait for it to reach a new flavor region and then take another sip, there's so much of a difference between the taste at higher temperatures and middle temperatures and lower temperatures that if you stop and take a chance to be really mindful about it and like don't just drink it till it's gone and actually wait for each stage, you'll really notice that difference, and it's super cool to experience. Okay, so without further ado, I think we should do this drawing, huh? And then we'll get to roasting. Oh, before I do the drawing, one more thing. The temperature is sensed from bottom or top. The temperature is sensed from the top. Okay, so let me actually show you here. Temperature is sensed from right here. You can see temperature probe right here. The benefit of Moment, this is the idea of doing this to measure coffee temperature like this is not a new thing. What we wanted to do when we came up with Moment was perfect the process, because there's a lot of things to think about, like steam coming up at it really affects the temperature, and you need a filter algorithm to get rid of that. There are different temperatures, like as the coffee sits there, if you're not constantly mixing it around, the surface temperature might be cooler than the bottom temperature because there's like striation. So we need algorithms to compensate for that and figure that out. But then at the same time, like the size and height of the cup makes a difference. So like if you have one of those infrared thermometers and you just aim it at the coffee, like from right here, you'll get one temperature. And if you change the angle or get closer or farther away, there's a huge difference in temperature that shows up. Whereas like if I lower and raise the cup here, you can see it stays pretty damn stable. I don't know how close I can actually get, but yeah, see, that's like rock solid steady. As soon as I move it away, 27. Put it back, 37. Like it took a lot of effort to get it to be as stable as possible. Yeah, I think that's all there is to say about that. And then the other thing is just the idea of like, if you were to run this in a cafe, rather than just being, here's the temperature, you do all the work, you could serve coffee like this on the unit and then be like, oh, okay, so like this is what instead of having one of those flavor cards that just has like, you expect to taste mango. Maybe there's like a mango fragrance when it's really hot, but you might not even taste that when it's really hot. And people take a sip and they're like, I don't really notice any mango flavor. And then it starts to cool down, and by the time it gets to the flavor, like the temperature stage that actually would have mango flavor, they've already finished it. Or maybe they've already passed that stage and it's cooled down entirely and you don't taste it anymore. And so this is a way to make customers be mindful as well, and then they can hold to rate, so they can be like, oh, this coffee sucks. Because generally customers won't tell you if they don't like the coffee, but they will give private feedback. And if this is just sitting at the table and you've told them like, you can long press and rate the coffee, if you don't like it, please let us know, because then we can change things. You get real positive feedback for what people think of the coffee. And then at the same time, you can double tap to like. And so at any flavor stage, like a temperature stage, you could be like, oh, that's great. Actually, that's really great, and add a whole bunch of likes, and all of those get accumulated, and you can see how many likes you got on specific coffees and make changes to your menu based on that. There are several coffee shops who have gotten this going. We're actually starting this thing called the Moment Map, where you can go find a local place that is running the Moment system and go experience that. But most shops, since it's so new, all the ones who have bought several units and who are getting it set up are like in the process of building it into their workflow. So if you own a coffee shop and you want to run Moment, have like multiple units and serve the coffee with a Moment unit, and you think you can do a good job of it, definitely reach out to us, because we would like to work with you to A, get it set up, and B, show the result. Because it we brought it to the Roaster Village at World of Coffee, and we put 3 units at different coffee roasting stations, and the ones that we had Moments set up, people specifically walk up and are like, oh, this is interesting. What is it? How is it written? And then like they have so many questions, and then they stand there and they talk longer, which means they have more opportunity to actually taste the coffee at different temperatures. And so the customer gets like a more unique, memorable experience, and the coffee shop owner gets more people coming by because there's people staying there longer, and people are like, what are those people all crowding around about? And so it's been really interesting at World of Coffee, and I can't wait to actually see it in action in a coffee shop. Does the environmental temperature affect cool or hot room? It does affect the speed of the cooling of the coffee, but it doesn't affect the reading of the result. Feedback is a cool feature. Yeah, I can't wait to see it like really being utilized. For cuppings, it's a game changer. So yeah, another thing for cuppings. So currently our cupping tool is not available yet in CoffeeOS, but it's going to be. And it's going to be a complete, super cool game changer, where it's going to take every version of the cupping, like a cupping form. So there's the CVA, there's the regular, like original SCA scored cupping, there's the SCI version, there's a ton. And there will be another tool in CoffeeOS called the Cupping Manager. And you'll open up the Cupping Manager, you can build a session, you can include as many people as you want, and you can attach Moment via Bluetooth. And what that does is make it so that it will notify you like, okay, now's the time that you should be taking a taste. And so you'll taste at that stage, and then you'll wait and you'll fill in all your notes, and then it'll be like, okay, now's the time to take the next taste. And so you'll taste for the next stage. And then at the end, you'll get an aggregated result across your whole tasting. So if it's like the acidity is really intense when it's really hot, but when it gets to cool, you almost notice no acidity at all. Like, that's significant. You can't just say like the acidity on the CVA form. The acidity is at 15. And then when it's cold, you don't taste any acidity at all. It can't still be 15. But if you can see like an aggregate of like, here's how it changes over time, and then you can share that with people. You can do cuppings with people at the same time, have like an open session where you can add people who aren't even in the same room, maybe who are just they have the same coffee and they're both running a cupping at the same time, and you want your results aggregated. And then what you can do is, if you had like 10 people doing the cupping at the same time, and all of those people put their, I have to try to frame my face. If you put all of those people's results and aggregate them together, and it's like, I taste mango when it's cold. I taste a little bit of cherry while it's in the medium stage, but then the mango starts to come out when it's cold. And then like a third person was like, I taste like some citrusiness or like some fruitiness, but they don't actually label what it is. It's going to aggregate all of that flavor descriptor information together. And if it's like 10 people said they taste mango at this stage, like obviously there's some mango-ness present. I've used the word mango a lot. But assuming that that's what you do, then you at the end will be able to convert that into a Moment profile. And it'll be like, okay, so if I'm converting, so like according to like the aggregate of all 10 cuppers, this is what you'll expect to taste at each temperature range, and it displays on Moment. And then I could like scan the QR code on a bag of coffee that I buy, directly follow the recipe using the brew recorder in CoffeeOS, and then measure to like, do I get the same results when I do my cupping, or does it taste different? What's wrong with it? And so like that QR code on a coffee roaster's bag can be all the information that you possibly need to have a repeat of what the roaster expects you to taste. And then way down the line, you'll be able to then provide that feedback back to the grower. So the person who is growing the coffee can be on the farm looking at all this information, have tools in CoffeeOS that help them with farming. And then you can see all of the farmer's data that gets transferred back to the roaster, and you can buy like, this is going to become such a cohesive and collective system that I absolutely can't wait for it to all be ready. But in the meantime, we don't have the cupping tool yet. So, without further ado, should we do that drawing? After we do the drawing, we're going to do some roasting. My goal is I've discovered that about 217 degrees is my ideal drop point for this coffee. But I haven't quite figured out the time and like the actual roast curve. So what I want to do is I'm going to do 4 roasts. I'm going to roast very, very slowly on one and very quickly on the other one. And then I'm going to switch to counterflow on the roast and do the same thing again to the same temperature, but do one very long and one very short. And then later on, we'll use Moment and compare them when I do another stream. So without further ado, who is ready for the drawing? Who's ready to win a DiFluid Moment? So we have, actually, let me check the exact number because it's pretty crazy. I've got a spreadsheet here. I think I misunderstood this when I first saw it, but it looks like something that'd be super useful in both cupping sensory correlation and for cafe experience. Yeah, see, okay, so that's something that we're realizing, like, we have not been doing a good job of actually communicating everything that DiFluid does and what we can do. And that's kind of, the goal of doing these live streams, but also, if you could explain to me what it is that you actually thought and what we're missing and why we haven't communicated it well, it would be super helpful for us to improve. Also, just a quick thing. So you can see here in CoffeeOS on the right side there, I really hope that it's not as laggy as it looks on my screen. I don't think it is because no one said anything, but if you go to the Me tab on the right side and then you press Feedback, you can see here, these are all the feedbacks that I've submitted to the team. That's why they're in Chinese. But you can go up at the top, you can press the plus, and then you can describe any issues or any suggestions or like, hey, I think we should add this or change this or fix that or do whatever. Leave the date as whatever the date of the problem or the date of whatever. Like if you're just suggesting something, it just doesn't really matter. But then you could be like, oh, in the grinder manager, I think you should have, because I thought, or something like that. And if you submit feedback like this, so helpful for us because then we just directly check what the issue is and we can fix it in the next update or add whatever features that you guys need. Granted, we are working on new features all the time. We got a huge update coming in October and small updates in between. But yeah, if you have any issues, please definitely submit those. So now we have, let me see. I like any tech that relates to coffee. Omics is in my future. Oh yeah. Yeah, Omics is really, really, really helpful for, especially for me, if you already have like a strong roasting intuition and you're like extremely aware and you've been doing it for decades, then it's really, 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 I was going to say that's different. But if you're, for most people, like for me or anyone who's been roasting for a couple years or more, it's really helpful to build that intuition using Omics because then you have like all of the data to verify what it is that you're experiencing. Okay, so entries. Oh, this list isn't numbered. Hold on. This one is. So we have 506 entries, which I did not realize just how many entries we were going to get. So it honestly feels a little unfair to me that we're only giving away one. So just as a consolation thing, because I did not actually apply to, I don't have approval to give away more moments yet. But I'm going to do 4 drawings, not just one, so that one person's going to win a moment. But the other people are going to win our particle analysis coaster, which I don't have in front of me right now. I should have some down here, but I don't. But yeah, we're going to give away 3 of those as well. So I'm going to do 4 drawings. 3 of you are going to get a consolation prize of that particle analysis coaster to help get you started on measuring your particle distribution on CoffeeOS. That's using the particle analyzer here. There is a bean officially rolling around in here that was in the trier. I'm going to let it out. Oh, it was 2 beans. 3 beans. Look at that. 3 beans. Those are really hot. Okay. But yeah, you can get an idea of like what kind of distribution that your grounds have. And yeah. So I'm going to read to you what the answers were from the person who wins the moment. So I really hope it's a good one. I had been looking through some of the questions were, how do you know DiFluid? And what will you do with moment when you win? And almost everyone left a really helpful, cool, like well thought out response of like a paragraph of like what you would do with moment. And there were a couple of people that were like, I like it. And if that's the person who wins, it'll not be as satisfying for everyone else. But, so let me change to the drawing view. All right. And you see this random wheel spinner generator thing? I was testing it out to make sure that it worked and we didn't have any issues. And I spun it a couple times, and when it landed on one of them, the first one that showed up was like specifically at, so all of these, the email address is hidden, so you can't see what everyone's is, but you can see most of them are Gmail, 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 Yahoo, Yahoo, Gmail, Yahoo, but occasionally you'll see one that's like at infiniteloopcoffeeroasters.com. And you know that's a coffee roaster. And the first one that showed up when I was testing it to make sure that it worked was one of those. And I was like, oh, I feel bad. But that person isn't removed from the drawing, so they still get a chance to win. So you can see we've got all the people here. See if you can see your own name as I spin. Are you guys ready to see who wins? I'm excited. Good luck, everyone. Okay, so I forgot my face was on camera here. So this is going to be cool. I guess I don't need to turn around and look at the camera because you can see my face. Okay, here we go. The winner of the moment is Spin. Come on, who's it going to be? Who's it going to be? The winner of the moment is alt something 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 x at gmail.com. And in order to find out who that is and what the response is, I'm not going to broadcast this part because it's got private information, but I will read it. Let me open the document that has all of the all of these submissions and figure out who that is and what their. So we've got. Is it the one that ends with X? Yeah. Okay. So this person, let me expand so I can read. They know DiFluid because they were referred by a friend. And how are they going to use Moment? It says, is this number 10? Yeah. Ah, perfect. For our cafe pour over bar, better experience. And I find it super interesting. The first question was, are you a pro or an enthusiast? And this person calls themselves an enthusiast, but then is going to be using it for their cafe pour over bar. I love the idea that this person is probably an extreme pro and still calls themselves just an enthusiast. They're not a pro. Coffee people are so humble. So congratulations. All I could say is altx@gmail.com. But we will reach out to you and get your information, and you've officially won a DiFluid moment. Okay, for the other 3 people who I've officially just decided are getting particle analysis coasters, let's do the next part of the drawing, and I'm still going to read the what they would have done with moment just for fun, but I apologize that you're not going to win a free moment this time. So let's do the other 3 people. Let me actually, I'm going to screenshot this just in case. Yeah, coffee people are the best. Honestly, I work in the best industry. Coffee people are the best. You know what? For fun, while we do the next drawing, I'm going to also start the roast so we can do the drawings throughout. We'll do 1 drawing per roast. How's that sound? So let me change it real quick back to this so you can see what I'm going to do here. I am going to come over to the other camera over here. I'm going to take 1 more sip of my cold truth. So we're paying attention to aftertaste, the length of the aftertaste, the cleanness, the dryness, and any faults. Cheers. That's really good. I don't notice any obvious faults, but I'm not really a pro, so I don't know what I'm really looking for. Aftertaste, there isn't very much of one. Tastes rather clean. Yeah, I don't really notice anything that comes after that. Okay, that was really good. Okay, so let's move moment out of the way for now. We're going to move microbalance into the way. And then we are going to, so just if you like DiFluid lore, this microbalance is one of the first ones ever made. It's not even the final version. The display is all screwed up and peeling off because it was before we even decided on the display we were using. And we're actually not even making these anymore, even the final version. They're officially no longer being manufactured. So when we run out of those, we run out of those. If you're looking for a white scale. All right, so we're gonna roast 200 grams at a time. So let's start with 200 grams. And 200. Take 2 of these out. So we're 200 on the dot. The next thing we're going to do is I'm going to give you guys an idea of how to use CoffeeOS here. So on my CoffeeOS here, I don't need to connect to microbalance right now, but I do need to connect to Omics. So I'm going to step through here. I'm going to show you guys inside here, we've got an empty container A. Sure, it's nice and clean. Container A is what we use to measure the moisture, the density, the water activity, all that stuff. I'm going to come over here to my bean manager on the top left. And I've got actually the same coffee in here twice because I wanted to show it in a different live stream that I did. But the one on the bottom here is the real one. 9.9% moisture was what it was the last time I measured it. Now, we're going to be building a dedicated tool for bean quality analysis. So you can track it over time, and that will be attached back to the bean information. So if I go back here, yeah, so if I go to this bean page, it will have like the history of these quality metrics that I've measured. This was when I entered the coffee on the 12th of July. So right now, because we don't have that tool ready, I'm just going to go back up here to edit, and I'm going to go down here to bean qualities. And so these are all the bean qualities. We don't have roast color, obviously, because this is not roasted coffee. And I'm going to press import. And I'm going to go to device autofill. Omics Plus is not currently connected, so we are going to connect it. Okay, Omics Plus is connected. Just for the sake of remembering, I want to name my Omics Plus Baby Boy. That way when it appears later, it'll be called Baby Boy. And then we'll go back here. Okay, so now we're connected. I'm going to change my sample type to green coffee. And then we are going to prepare a sample here. So here is the best way to prepare a sample. Omics comes with this scraper like this. Separately, we also have these. Call them a bean sweeper. It's much easier and more repeatable to do it with that. So I like to use that. Where's the tray? Here. So here is the prep tray. We put the container on here like that. You always have to spin it. If you don't spin it, then your life won't be nearly as fun. So you spin it. And then we're going to put this guy on top, and we're going to overfill it. Now, you're going to take this and spin it like this. You can make sure that it's not spinning there too. I'm going to push all of these off and in and keep spinning till they all fall out or stay in. That's the most repeatable way to fill this so that you have a flat surface and a properly filled container. I'm going to measure, and then I'm going to explain to you why this is important. So I'm going to pop it into Omics space right here. We're going to put the lid on. And then over here in CoffeeOS, I can just push test. if I push the import button, I can import from previous results. Seeing how coffee changes over time is a great idea. Yeah, definitely, especially because of storage conditions. So I'm actually in my garage right now, and storage conditions are fluctuating. So let's see what those results are. So moisture is at 10%, so the bag is doing a good job of keeping it. It was, I think, what was it, at 9.9 before? 0.638 was the water activity. Oh, that was what it was last time. It actually didn't finish measuring. Oh, it didn't measure it because I have that setting turned off. So here, I'm going to go import, device autofill, change this back to, oh, here, actually, you know what? Green beans. I'm going to show you, so if I go here now and I press test on the water activity, here, let me tilt this up so you can see what's going on here. Can you see that? So you'll see how long it takes to test water activity. It's usually about 30 seconds, but it depends on your environment. Because essentially what's happening is it's cooling an internal mirror down to measure the dew point. It's actually called the chilled mirror dew point method. So you can see in here, the mirror temperature right now is 13.3 degrees. Bean temp is 22.8 degrees. And it drops until it hits the right temperature. So, okay, so 0.636 is our current water activity. 0.636. So I could just now type that in. Or I can go import here. And I'm going to refresh and make sure I've got the latest result. And import. Now it says 0.636 is the water activity here. Okay, so then I'm going to save. This is the current situation of my beans here. Yeah, you can see everything related to it there. So we're going to go back. Now, if I... wait a minute. Oh, I did the wrong one. Damn it. No, it's not the bottom one. It's the top one. The top one is actually the most recent. This is the one that has all of my roasted coffees associated with it. These are all my roasted coffees that I have associated with this green coffee. So I should actually update this one too, but then this is a good example. I can just go in here. So this is all the old data. Import, device autofill, import, select this guy. That was my previous test. Boom, it's updated, save. Everything's now associated correctly. And so these are all still the roasted coffees that I did off of this green coffee. So now, without further ado, so it hasn't changed at all. The last thing we're going to have to do is edit our roast curve so that we have the right profile here. So I'm going to go up here to Profiles. We have the one I've been using called Badu Counter Slow. And we're going to change it, the preheat. Okay, so what was happening, my slow roast actually took like 4 minutes. So I need to change this a lot. So I'm going to make the preheat temperature much lower, so like 230. Batch weight is still 200. The end temperature is going to be 217. And then the max temperature here, I'm going to set, so right now it's at 326. I'm going to set this, I'm going to move it down to like 315. And then this is going to be a little bit below that, so like 312. And then this will be like 302. And then this will be like 290. And then a little bit lower here, a little bit lower here, and a little bit lower here. So maybe that will be a better representative of counterflow slow. So update profile. And then we're going to go back to profiles. And we're going to go to, so that was the counter slow, and now we're going to do the classic slow. So classic flow direction. We're also going to load at 230 and end at 217. And then we need to go really slow. So this one also going to be lowered down to 315. This will be like 310. This will be 304. This will be like 290, 288, something like that. Yep. Okay, so we'll save, update profile. And now we're going to do the two fast profiles. Oops. Profiles. So we're going to go down here to, so the counterflow fast to 217. This is way too high for counterflow, so we're going to move this down to like 345. Because like I said, I was getting like a 4-minute roast, and then the inside. It's interesting because the way that it's measuring that final temperature, counterflow and regular flow seem to be quite different. And so even though I was getting to the same temperature, it was very under roasted. So I'm bringing this down to 326 here, and then this will be 323, and this will be like 320, and then that's like 319, and then this will be like 318. Yeah, okay, so we'll update that profile. Oh wait, what was the drop temp? Yeah, 215, okay, update. So this is counterflow fast. Oh, but I'm going to change the name to 17, update. And then, profiles, we're going to update the last one, which is going to be the, here, the classic flow 17 fast with a lower preheat temp, ending at 217. And this is regular flow, so I'm actually going to go higher than this and faster. So I'm going to make this up to like 345, and this to like 378, and this to like 390. And then 380. And then we'll start dropping from there, 365. All right, so this should be interesting. We'll update that. And then let me just make sure that all of them are correct, because I forgot to check that last one, because I didn't name them properly. Okay, so this is 217 slow, update. And then profiles again, and this is 217, 217. The last one ends at 217, and it's called slow. Okay. All right, we've got our 4 profiles. Now we will sync on the actual device. All right, so we've got the counterflow and the classic. The classic, we've got slow and fast. So let's start with slow, and let's do it. All right, did I miss any chats while I was doing that? Seeing how a coffee changes over time is great. Yes, it is. Okay, so let's put in the next coffee. Can you see that? Oh, okay, so the last thing before we actually make the roast, I wanted to show you. The reason that the sample prep is so important is because this container is being weighed underneath, but it also knows that the volume is whatever the volume of this container is. And that's how it's going to determine your bulk density. And if I were to, let me move Omics out of the way, and actually press on here, it's not making that much of a difference with these beans. But you could definitely change the way that it's filled. The other night, I put my coffee in these cans that I'll actually have to go get in a second. And if I just pour the coffee into the can after it's roasted, it will overflow. But if I push on it, it will all go in. And it just depends on how it lays. And you do not want to push on this because then you don't know how much pressure you've put in and how you've packed the beans in there. You want it to be essentially random every time, but random prepared in a consistent way that you can repeat so that you get consistent results, because the bulk density is going to use this volume. And if you end up using a lot more beans because you've crushed them in there, it's going to make a difference. So you're trying to make it as repeatable as possible. So let's do some roasting. So I'm going to come over here. I'm going to put in our coffee. I'm going to switch this to standard filtration. My apologies, Astound is a complete and total garbage system. Let me get my other camera figured out. I don't know why it's not reconnecting. There we go. Okay, we are officially back. I apologize for that. I hope anyone's still here. That's really frustrating. Okay, and without further ado, let's start the roast. All right, we're officially beginning the roast. That should have began a long time ago. I apologize for that retardedness. Astound is really bad internet service, and it doesn't fully work. I had to restart the internet. That took forever. I'm going to turn on the filtration on Airwave now. My apologies, my apologies. Okay, so just so you can see a little better, I'm going to zoom in a little bit. So you can see we've been roasting for 40 seconds. You can see roasting going on in there. And then you can see what Airwave is actually doing. So we've got it set to standard filtration. It's at 75% fan speed. And hot air comes out the back. Hot purified air. So we'll keep going on that. You made a coffee and waited. 8 a.m. I appreciate that you actually came back, because I was super worried that you were going to be like, well, guess he's gone, and then go move on to something else, because it's really frustrating when that kind of stuff happens. It's literally like you're reliant on other companies' internet, and they don't feel the need to provide you with the service that works, because they're like, what are you going to do? So in the meantime, let's do that next drawing for. Oh wait, let me bust out the roast curve so you can see what's going on here. Let's go live. So what do we got going on here? We're at 2 minutes. The bean temp is at 129. Previous event was a turning point. Let's take a look at the curves. So it's following my temperature curve quite well. All right, so let us switch the view real quick, because we're only at 227 in our on our roast, and we're going to switch the view to Drawing. Server not found. You can see my internet was not working. That was just me trying to test that. Okay, so. Are you ready to see who wins the particle analysis coaster? Spin the wheel! Boom! Eno something1@gmail.com. So let's take a look at who that is. Here it is. So this person who just won a wait, let me make sure that's the right one. Yeah. Okay, so the person who just won a particle analysis coaster, they know us because they watch on Instagram, and they were hoping to get Moment for cupping and for some more like V60. That's interesting. That's a good use case. That's pretty much what I did right here. I'm sorry you didn't win the Moment, but consolation, you did win a particle analysis coaster, which might help you for those V60s. So let me screenshot that. So that's the winner of the particle analysis coaster. And I will switch views back to our curves. Let's see. So in the meantime, while we wait for this roast that has got 37 degrees to go, because we're doing I already forgot. Are we doing? Yeah, we're doing slow first. Let me go back. Yeah. Okay, so, yeah, of course, look, I'm getting this notification that there's no internet. Okay, so we're going to add this coffee to my, stop telling me there's no internet when there's clearly internet. We're going to rename this new bean to Badu 217 Slow. We're going to import the crop information. Oh, come on. There we go. It's because of that, again, crappy Astound internet. I'm astounded still how bad it is. Okay, so let me try that again. We're going to go Badu 217 slow. We're going to import from other beans. So these beans, I've done multiple things with them, so I'm going to pick any of these. I'll just pick this one. And we're going to import all the crop information, so that's all of this stuff here. Let me minimize that. Now we've got all the roast info, which I don't know yet, other than I do know the roast date. 13 degrees remaining. So I know the roast date. I know the roaster. In fact, you know what? Let me just import these also from other beans. We'll pick these. Import. Except the roast level I don't know yet, so we'll have to change that. The drop temperature is going to be in Celsius, and we're doing 217. We're going to assign this. Oh crap, I forgot which one it is again. This one. Yeah. Assign. And we'll measure all of this stuff afterwards, so not ready to save yet. 6 degrees to go. Alejandra Lewis, I'm glad you like the setup. I appreciate that. I wanted to have a face camera also because I think that would be fun, but I have too many cameras set up for this. So we're about to drop. We've got 4.3 degrees. I'm hoping that over time we can find some people who want to do like a collab and we can stream at the same time. What's going on here? Can you guys still see? My OBS is showing nothing, but the camo is showing everything, so I don't know what's actually showing on screen. Please let me know if everything disappeared and I might have to set up again. All right, we've auto dropped our beans. It's black? Okay, hold on. Sorry for that. Don't know what's going on here. For some reason, camo stopped transmitting. So I'm gonna have to, unfortunately, temporarily close this, reopen camo, remove camo. I apologize, I don't know why this is happening. Literally doesn't even show up. That's so convenient. Why would you just decide not to show up at all? Well, I can show you this cam, but literally the streaming software that I was using just decided it's no longer going to broadcast to anywhere. God, this could not be more annoying. I'm glad you at least got to see the setup when it was working properly. Let me reopen the software again. Man, today is not a successful streaming day. It shows up totally fine here, and then OBS does not want to show camo. But does not explain why. Why? Come on. I'm asking ChatGPT. See if ChatGPT has the answer to my problems. You know what? I'm not going to solve this problem right now. So what I'm going to do instead, I would love a roaster, but for kilo batches, they're kind of expensive. Yeah, that's always a problem. So I think what I'm going to do, I would love to have a massive roasting setup, but I don't have a way to sell the coffee at the moment. But you're enjoying delicious Geisha coffee. Are you, when you say for the moment, do you mean using a moment? All right, since I can't get this to work, what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to... Oh, is that going to work? The software is completely and totally frozen. So I don't think that's going to work for... Damn, what I was going to do is just directly show you the broken software. But if the software is broken and not working at all, then that's not going to help. I'm relaunching it one more time because I think I found something. I apologize for this really boring section of this stream. This is not how it should be going. I don't know what's going on here. I don't know why this is happening. I don't know how to solve it. And Camo is totally broken altogether. Cool. And to think, I was literally getting ready to pay for the upgraded version of this software. So you guys are going to get to sit here and watch as I rebuild the stream in a different way. Okay, so back to what I was doing. So, wait, what the heck? Now it's not worth... Are you kidding me? Oh my God. Now nothing is working at all. I'm really, really sorry about the watching from UAE and it's 2:15 a.m. and then nothing is working. I can't even get to my... All right, I figured it out, guys. I apologize. It's because my computer totally ran out of memory and started shutting things down because it was going, oh crap, I don't know how to maintain this. I apparently have way, way, way too many tabs open. And literally like too much stuff going on. So I apologize for that. Let me get the stream back up and going on. Yeah, that's working again. This needs to just reconnect. I'll wait for that one to do it on its own. Share this window. Let me get the recent movie recording. QuickTime back up and running. Okay. And then last we need to get my, there we go. That's back up. Okay. And then last but not least, we got to get the chat. I get a thumbs up for perseverance. I appreciate your perseverance in staying with me. Okay, so that's the drawing. Okay, wait, no, but we want camo, and this screen capture thing needs to be going from camo camera. Success! Hey! Okay, so the problem was definitely that I have too many things running at the same time, and that needs to be taken into account. I will make sure to fix that for next time so that this doesn't happen again. Live streaming is apparently super intensive on the computer, and I did not know that that was going to be the case. Okay, but yeah, we are officially back, and I can officially, hi guys, keep this going. Okay, so we finished our first roast. I'm going to change this to, I don't know what that flashing symbol means. If anyone knows, please let me know. And we're going to change this to Classic Baidu Fast. Now, the last roast, if we go back to our curves here, let me go to log. That last roast took how long? First crack at 6:37. It took 8 minutes 27 seconds. That actually wasn't nearly as long as I expected it to be, but while the stream was rebooting and figuring itself out, I went and got my patented, not actually patented, coffee cans. I love these things. I give people coffee in these things. They return them to me. I reuse them over and over and over again. They've got a valve in the bottom. They're not plastic. They're my favorite thing. So this is what I put my coffee in. And if we look at the log here, it followed it pretty well. And the bean temp went whoop. So, okay. An 8 minute something or other roast. Not too shabby. Cool. What is the most important factor for you when roasting coffee? So, I am not by any means a pro. I am what I would call an extreme beginner. So, for me, the answer is, what's the most important factor for me? Learn something. Each time I do a roast, I try to learn something. And what I've been learning here, so I've been roasting the same coffee over and over and over again. And I've determined, I roasted it to 205 degrees. Then I roasted it to 210 degrees, then 215, 220, 225, and 230. And I found that around between 215 and 220 was my favorite for this coffee. And now I'm experimenting with getting there in different amounts of times with different kinds of airflow. So that's why we're doing one really slow regular flow, one really fast regular flow, and then also like that again with counterflow, so that we can take 4 of them at the same temperature and taste the difference. I'm sure you'd get a different answer if you asked everyone. Like, for example, Rosie says, for me, being a very small roaster, it's consistency. Yeah, so if you're going for consistency, then the ideal thing is to be using an Omix. So I'm going to turn Omix back on. Sorry for standing in front of you guys. I didn't mean to do that. And then bumping into you at the same time. Let me raise this back up so you can actually see what the results on Omix. Cool. The sun is also now in a different position, so it's actually much easier to see. So, yeah, in terms of consistency, when we have that bean quality analyzer tool in CoffeeOS, it's going to be even better because it'll calculate everything for you. But in the meantime, it's nice to measure your color and your moisture content. Oh, wait, let me put the bean sweeper on first. Actually, you know what? I'll pour it from here and it'll be easier. Or you know what? We'll do some brand repping. Thanks, Roast. So I'm going to put these in here because it's easier to pour from the tray. That guy's back there. Whoa, I missed a bean. Omics is definitely my future and an awesome bit of tech. Yeah, it's definitely fun to use too. So I'm going to dump this in here. So Omics comes with more than one container. The other two, I actually don't even have them here. They're inside. It's designed so that if you're just measuring roast color, you don't need to fill such a big container. And then especially the same thing for ground coffee. So you can see your roast delta. The other side is not so full, so I'm going to add some more beans in here. Yeah, there we go. But if you do it in this container, you can measure moisture content. So this post here is for the capacitance, and if I flip this over, there's a hole in the bottom. So it goes over that post. And so you can measure the moisture content and the water activity and everything of roasted coffee. But usually you don't really need roasted coffee's water activity, so it didn't test it. But our color is 55.5 Agtron. This looks funny because we have this set to the specialty scale. So this is generally the range that specialty coffee is in, but that's for the ground coffee generally, because the inside I imagine of this coffee will be lighter than 55 or lighter than a medium. But what you can do is go in here to your settings and we'll go to measurement, roast, Agtron range. And so yeah, it's set to specialty. If you set it to full spectrum, it'll give you everything between, go back to that test. So you can see between 30 and 140, you can see everything in between. So that's a much different distribution. I mean, it's the same distribution displayed in a much different way. But you can see like how much variation there is here. And yeah. So what we're going to do now is grind some, which means I'm actually going to have to run inside real quick. But luckily, I've got a wireless microphone. So I'll be able to keep talking to you guys. I'll be right back. I'm going to go get the grounds container. So I'm heading into the house and I'm walking. We'll also see how good this microphone is. It's actually brand new. This is the first time I've ever used it so that you guys can hear me. And I'm going through a bunch of walls, so I don't know if you'll be able to hear well. So I'm going to try to do this quick. But where is my Omics? Here. Grounds container and whole bean container. And then there's a calibration container there, but I don't really need it right now. So, coming back. And we've arrived. Let me put my sandals on so my socks don't get dirty. Okay, so grounds container, whole bean container. And we are going to move some of these over. Actually, I'm going to take a sip of this coffee real quick. It's really cold now. That's good. We're going to do some grounds. And in order to do that, I'm going to come over to my little grinder I've got over here. Oh, one thing to note, don't need to be filtering right now. Save electricity. Okay, so I'm going to dump a little bit of a little bit of beans into my grinder here. It's set on setting number 4. It is a KitchenAid grinder, funny enough. That is to purge it. So I'm going to dump my purged coffee. I've got this container here of grounds from doing stuff like this. Eventually I'll do something with that. Okay, so it's purged. Probably need a little bit more than that. I always feel so bad doing this because you waste coffee. But for science. Oh, I forgot to do something. Okay, so wait. I can show you this now. So I can go right now. I could do this. Import, device, autofill. Is he not connected? Let me go into get him connected again. Make sure baby boy is connected. This is roasted beans. Let me just go import, refresh the tests, and I'm going to import that last one so I have all my bean information here. I didn't import the roast color, which was what? 55.5. And then this down here is my source coffee, so the Monglian Badu is the source. Okay, I'm going to press save. Whoops. Hey. Where'd it go? So why did it... Oh, it's because it's date roasted? Wait, date roasted. Oh, I accidentally... Oops. Okay, so let me go back to here. I imported the roast date from the other one, and I didn't change it. The roast date was not then, it was today. Save. Okay, so now if we go back, that should appear. Are they in backwards order? Where'd it go? Did it not update? There's a bug. All right, I got to make sure that they fix that. Let me screenshot that real quick. It's not updating the ordering. Okay, no matter. So you see how here we've got it. We've got that. But what I can also do, if I want more specific roast color information, I can go a new session on the roast color analyzer. I'm going to call this Badu Slow 217. And I'm going to assign beans. I'm going to assign it to that 217 Badu Slow, that coffee. And so now all of these results here will go onto that coffee. And then when I go here to my results, I'm going to import that color test that I did a second ago. That was this one here. Done. And I'm going to change my Agtron range from competition to full spectrum. And then I'm going to measure the grounds too. So we'll come over here to grounds. I'm going to take this container, move that back out of the way. I'm going to take this container back out. I'm going to fill that with grounds. Do I have enough here? There we go. Fill that in nice and smooth. All right, so that's prepared nicely. We'll plop that in. And then I'm going to go back over to Coffee OS over here and add test. Come on. Please tell me it's not the internet again. It is not communicating with Omics. Hello? It didn't do anything. What's going on here? Are we not connected? We're definitely connected. What happens if I test myself? Oh, there we go. Okay, I don't know what's going on there. Okay, so you can see the difference now between the whole bean and the grounds. They're actually almost exactly the same. It's very, 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 very slightly different. Roast delta of 1.3. Damn, that's like probably the closest I've ever seen it, literally ever. And so now, when I close this session, if I go back to my bean manager and I find those beans again, which are not in the right order, not resorted, I've got one roast analysis color session here, and I'll be able to, in a future update, right now I can't because they haven't fully finished that yet, but I'll be able to tap in there and see a list of all of the associated tests I did on these beans. And I can also see here's my roast, the coffee that it came from. That was that 10% moisture coffee. So keeping all the information together. Let's do another roast. Let's do it. All right, we're on roast number 2. So this, move out of the way. I don't need these grounds anymore. I'm sorry to be wasteful. These can go back. Where's my, my tray of beans is back over here. So let me listen to this. Some ASMR beaning. Yeah, beaning, that's a new word I invented. And then check out this technique I invented. So we'll move omics out of the way for now. This is the best technique ever. You take the funnel thing from the roast, you put it on the top of the can like this, and then just like that, you've got a can of beans. Shazim-zam. Put that back there. Put this guy here for some reason. And let's do our next batch. So we're going to bring microbalance back into the loop. Put our DiFluid tray on there. Get our coffee back out. Another 200 grams. Did I already change it to fast? I did. So we're on classic fast this time. Boom. All right. And then we're as soon as we start this roast, we're going to do another drawing and see who wins the second particle analysis coaster. Okay. I'll turn Airwave back on. Boom. And we're on, 217 fast. And here we go. Cool. Okay, while that's going, I'm going to change the view back to drawing. The drawing is not currently being displayed. Give me 1 second. This one is not the fault of the thing. It's just I never brought it back after everything broke last time. So the wheel. There it is. All right, are we ready for spin number 3? Winning another particle analysis coaster. Here we go. The winner is... What? Okay. Here's my assumption of what just happened. Because that's actually the winner of the moment. And there's no way in 500 people that person just won again. I think this website does not update its random generator order. Okay, I'm gonna spin again, and if the next winner is the same as the one that just won the particle analysis coaster, we'll know for sure. But sorry, you can't win a moment and a particle analysis coaster. So let's see if this is the same guy that was second last time. It's not! which means that guy is the luckiest person ever, but unfortunately can't win the particle analysis coaster and the moment. That ain't fair. All right, so per something s@gmail.com. I'm going to open up the sheet. Per. Ooh, there's 3 pers. I have to find out which per this is. Nope, 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 nope. It's because the word purchase starts with PUR. I gotta find which email starts with PUR. Who is it? I'm searching through the, well, is it this one? No. Oh wait, I think I found it. Okay, I found it. You are number 47. If you had one moment, this person says they know DiFluid because they have an R2 primarily to test TDS and extraction for profiling coffee brews. And if they had one moment, they would have primarily used it for further data profiling and understanding temperature ranges and letting me log for more optimized workflow and consistency, as well as coffee presentation for Freddy's and family. I think he meant friends and family. Unfortunately, you didn't win a moment, but you did win a particle analysis coaster. So a good consolation prize. So that's the next, odds are wicked. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. But let me screenshot that. So we've got one more particle analysis winner coming during the next roast. But in the meantime, let me switch back to this one. And, oh, you know what? I didn't open the live view of the, let's go live. Where are we at? We're at 4 minutes into our roast. We've got 40 degrees to go. This is considered the fast roast, so we'll see how it makes a difference. I'm noticing I did actually, so I set it as a fast roast, but I put the temperature, the starting temperature lower than the other one. So they may have ended up canceling each other out, and they'll probably end up getting there in the same 8 minutes, which means I did a different experiment than what I thought. But in the meantime, let's add this. So again, we're going to go import from other beans. Actually, I don't even have to do that because I'm going to assign beans and I'm going to assign it to this one. And it's going to tell me that I should use the sources info. So I'm doing that. And then for the roast, other beans, I'm going to use the same information as this one that I just roasted, but it's going to be the fast one. It got the roast date correct. Drop temperature is the same, but it's Celsius. That's a bug that needs to be fixed. It's being worked on right now. That didn't even convert correctly. So 217 Celsius, and then these beans. Ooh, we're at first crack. So I guess it is going much faster because we have 10 degrees to go, and it's at 5 minutes 30 seconds. So these are Badu. Fast 217. And then bean qualities. I'm not going to do that right now. I'll do that later. And then I'm going to open up the roast color analyzer. I'm going to do a new session. I'm going to assign beans. We've got 1.2 degrees to go. And drop. Okay, so let's measure some whole bean color after those cool down. This session is going to be called Badu Fast 217. Those are hot. Hot, hot, hot. 101 cracks. Is that a lot or a little? Okay, I'm gonna take some of these. Four. Oh, well, I have to get them out. That's the hot part. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to take these, and I'm going to grind them while we wait for the whole bean to cool. We'll do it in backwards order this time. So I'm dumping that in the grinder, but I don't have my, this guy right here. I apologize that you can't see the grinder. But if it's any consolation prize, I will show you the grounds on top of grounds. Ooh, different color. So it seems like the result is actually going to be that these are lighter. I imagine they're going to be lighter because they roasted slower. I mean faster, which means they probably didn't get as roasted on the inside, but are probably very similarly roasted on the outside. We shall see. So I'm going to put my mix there. Let's prepare our sample. Nice and prepared. And then pop it in there. We'll come back over here to Kafafi OS. I'm going to do grounds first and add test. It's really weird. Something's up with this Omex. Maybe it's because I didn't update it. This one needs an update. But whenever I push test, it seems to be bugging out. So let me just push the button on the actual device. Come on. Come on. Hey. All right, I'm just doing device because it seems to not want to go the other direction. I don't know why. Well, that didn't work either. What's going on here? All right, I don't know what's going on. Let me reboot this Omex. Go back to our device center. Device center. It's the first time this has ever happened to me. It seems like everything is going wrong today, and I don't understand why. We're going to skip this because we're not going to be doing density. So if I was to test density now, it would not be accurate. But we're connected to Omex, and we want to add a test. Still not working. All right, let me force quit, see what happens. Login expired, which doesn't usually happen. So something tells me that that was something to do with the issue. That was our old one. Let me go back to this. This was Badu Fast 217. Still not doing anything. Literally has never happened before, and now suddenly when I'm trying to live stream, I can't get it to even show up with a test at all. What do I do? Why? I don't understand. To avoid risk of fire, I should empty the chaff drawer. All right, let's do that. It's pretty full. All right, well, we'll dump that out while we wait for Omics to figure out why it's not working properly. There's a lot of chaff that ended up getting stuck in there. That's okay because it'll end up being shot through and end up in the airwave chaff collector, so not a big deal. So we can hit done, reset chaff count. Something weird is going on here. You know what? Let me see if it's my Omics or if it's the app or what the dealio is, because I have another Omics over here. So let me just try this out. We'll boot up Omics number 2 and swap it out and see how it goes. Really embarrassing. It doesn't usually happen. At least the numbers are showing up on the other Omics, but all right. Let me device center, connect to this Omics, and then reopen the tool, new session, make sure it's connected to the right Omics. Let's connect to this Omics and add test. I don't know what's going on here. Why would it have been working totally fine, no issues, and then all of a sudden not fine at all the issues? It's just doing nothing. I've restarted everything. Well, I'm going to try one last time. And then if this doesn't work, what I'm going to do instead is okay, I guess if I just push test on the device itself, it seems to be working. So let's just do that for now, and then I will report the bug and we'll fix it later. Okay, so that's the whole bean. That's the ground. Now let's measure the whole bean. Apologize for the weirdness. Thanks for bearing with me. So that's the ground color. Let's see what our final whole bean was. In fact, this is taking so long that let's switch to counterflow, and we're going to do our counterflow slow. Actually, you know what? Let's do our counterflow fast first, because then we're at the right temperature already. I'm going to take this coffee and put it here. Okay. And let's very quickly measure our whole bean color. And then I need to get my battery so I can charge this device so that it does not die. Okay. Whole bean. Test. All right, let's see what our results are. Don't you love how it didn't show up? The results are 66.2. So yeah, lighter on the outside, much lighter on the inside. Would be nice if it would transmit that data. Maybe it's because I didn't push the button. That seems to work. Okay, so that's not how it should have to be. I should be able to push it on there or on here and have it work. I don't know why it's not working today. Let me rename this one more time to Badu Fast 217. And I'm going to assign beans. Badu Fast 217, assign. Or wait, yeah, that was fast. Okay, so now we're going to do the fast of the counterflow. So we're going to go, those need to go in a container, but first let me prepare the next one so that we're not just sitting here waiting. So let me move omics out of the way. Put this back in the way. Get our tray ready. And we're going to do batch number 3. And then I got to go get that battery real quick. Boom. Okay, 200 on the dot. 199.9, close enough. I think the table's also uneven, so. We'll dump this in here. Let's start that going. Turn airwave back on. Counterflow is going to start up. And then let me run real quick and grab the battery so that the phone don't die. I'm coming inside to grab the battery. Where is the battery? Oh, actually, it's over here. I remember. It's in my little basket. And I need a cable. All right. Don't you love how quiet it is in here in comparison to the loudness of roasting? All right, back to the loudness of roasting. All right, I've got my battery. Gonna quick plug it in so that the omics view don't die. Oh, oops, this is the wrong cable. Damn it. Okay, hold on one sec. I have the right cable over here. I forgot that old iPhones are not USB-C. Plug it in here. And we are officially not going to die. Okay, now, while that goes on, I need to label, so I've got a pen here. I need to label what each of these are. So this coffee is Badu Classic Flow, and then it's 217 Slow. Okay, this one is Classic 217 Fast. You know what? I need lids. I'm running over to get the lids. I'm coming in to get the lids. I need some lids and lids and lids. 1, 2, 3, 4, lid be lid. 1, 2, 3, 4. That way I can write on the lid and not on the can. Eventually I want to get cool labels for the can, but I need to get good enough at roasting first. So, we can put that label on later. For now, this is second coffee. And that's roasting fast. Okay, so this is Badu 217 Classic Fast. Okay, and let me snag this guy, and we're gonna put, hey, where'd my can go? Oh, it's over here. Okay. Okay. Actually, let me get some of this green powder off. Look at that. Don't need that in my coffee. Okay. There we go. And we already wrote on the lid, so we know what this is. Okay, I'm going to take a sip of water here. That was fast. Okay, we're at, how long was that? Like 4 minutes? That'll be an interesting difference. Oh, I missed a bunch of stuff. I think I may have to save my pocket money to get a roast. That automation is next level. I don't like Mondays either. It's Tuesday here, though. I still don't like Tuesdays. I think internet and Wi-Fi is stalled. Uh-oh. Is it still stalled? Because on my end, it actually looks like it's still working. It says that it's still transmitting. It doesn't say I have any dropped frames. It says the amount of time. Please let me know that it is still working. Because if it... Oh, I'm back. Okay, cool. This next part, we're going to measure more whole bean. So I need to create this coffee. This one is rename Badu Counter 217 Fast. We're going to assign it to this guy. Use the source info. We're going to import from other beans the 217 slow. Import. I'm skipping bean qualities just for time's sake. Save. And then let's go into the roast color analyzer. We'll do another new session. Assign our beans. This one was the counterflow 217 fast. Assign. And let's measure our whole bean. Whole bean that's fast. Okay. And while we do that, why don't we just set our thing for the last roast and get ready to do our last particle analysis coaster drawing. Oh, I forgot to put this in the... This is part of the classic fast, isn't it? I don't want to lose beans for no reason. Yeah, these go in here. Throw those in there. Put this back up there. All right, that can go back out of the way. Let's put some beans in here. Make sure it's nice and flat. So this one, the amount of compact doesn't matter as long as the surface is as flat as possible. I'm gonna blow the extra chaff pieces out of there. Then bring Omics back. Put a lid on. All right, and let's add test. Okay, 83.2, very light, interesting. Okay, and then very quickly, I'm gonna dump this in here. Let's bring our microbalance back. And let's weigh out our last batch of the day that we're gonna do our last drawing during. And 200, okay. 200.4, I don't wanna make it different than the rest, so. Okay, there we go. Whoop, I got air in the bag. Hold on, I don't want air in my bag. Okay, close enough. So that's 200 grams. Looks pretty stable. So let's do this. And let's do our last roast. Okay, so while that goes, let me grab what's in here. I don't need that much coffee. Put some back. Take about that much. And I am going to grind it. I need this guy and this guy. Do a little bit of a purge. Okay. And let's measure our roast color. And then we'll do a drying. We want all kinds of stuff today. Okay. Let me make that front and center for you. Even though that's more like back end to the edge, kind of. Boom. Pop it in our container. Pop the lid on. And test. Ooh, big difference on that one. Okay, so our roast delta is 15. Let me save this. This is Badu, counter, fast, 217. Oh, there's not enough room. Okay, let me take away a space. 217. All right, and then close that. Bean Manager, new coffee. These ones are, this is also Badu. This is counter, 217, and slow. Oh no! Did I do the same thing I did before? Oh no, I changed it. Okay. Whew. I forgot. Last time I did the fast one twice and totally screwed it up. And I was very annoyed with myself. Okay, assign the green coffee, use the source info, we'll close that. Roast info, we're going to import from other beans. And then we're going to save. And then we're going to open Roast Color Analyzer. New session. This one is going to be called Badu Counter 217 Slow. slow. Okay. These can go in a can. So I'm going to do that real quick. Okay. Those are canned. And let's do a drawing. We've got 21 degrees left on this last roast. And so let's do our last spin the wheel. Spin again. Who's going to win the last particle analysis coaster? Here we go. Boom! It's OLR something M at gmail.com. What is it? OLR or OLM? I already forgot. OLR. Okay, so this person, they won a particle analysis coaster, but it says that they know DiFluid because in Instagram while browsing for recipes for AeroPress. They wanted to use Moment to test in all brewing methods and improve the taste of my tongue palate. Okay, so they wanted to improve their tasting ability. That's a good use case for Moment. I apologize that you didn't get a free one, but you did get that consolation prize of a free particle analysis coaster. Screenshot you. Make sure that you get it. I will reach out to you and we will make sure that you get that. Let me switch back. Ooh, it is ready already. That was really, really, really fast for a slow roast. I'm having trouble getting the counterflow roasts to slow down. They are so fast. Let's see if it's even any really different. So let me dump out these grounds here. While we wait for that to cool, let me put the lid on these. So that was the slow. So the last one was the fast. So this is going to be Badu, counter, 217, fast. Okay, let's put the lid on these. Putting it over here. And then let's measure our last one. So we can put this back so you can see our beautiful differences. Let me grab some. It's probably good. Let's come over here and do a little bit of grinding. So what I can show you here, I was only doing one test with each of these just for speed's sake, so I can show you what's going on. But what we can do is we can take test after test after test and get an average, and you can do that in one roast color session. So I'll give you an example of that. What I would do here is I would bust out my omics, clear out the tray. Going to move microbalance out of the way. Don't need any more for today. I'm going to turn off airwave. Okay, so what I would do here is put some grounds on the tray. Prepare the sample. Make sure it's totally full. Pop it in, put our lid on, and then I'll come over here and I'm going to, this is grounds, so I'm going to press assign beans first, and we're going to assign it to, this was counterflow slow. That's this one. Assign, and we're going to do add test, Zimzam. So 91.7, extremely light. And then we will switch to whole bean, but not yet. Oh, I don't need to select that. Okay, so yeah. So we'll bust this guy out, we'll dump it in here, and we'll do another test. I actually don't have enough to fill the tray this time. Can I take some back from what I just dumped? This is probably not the most scientific way to do this because now I've got mixed grounds in here. And I don't want to waste more coffee by doing it again, but I guess I'll do, okay, so this is pretty homogenized because it's ground sample, but I'll show you what I'm talking about with the whole bean sample because then I don't have to waste any coffee because I actually plan on drinking this. So I'm going to take the, where's the whole bean container? I'm actually going to shut this guy down so it can cool down. But where did I put it? Where's the... Oh, it's right here. God, I'm so stupid. Okay, so we'll take our beans. I'll take a handful of them and I'm going to put them in the tray. Like that. There's a big gap here, so I'm going to fill that in. There's actually still a gap there. Okay. So I would take that as my first sample. Pop it in, switch to whole bean, add test. So 79.4. But there's so much more variation in the whole bean sample that if I now go, I'm going to mix these up and I'm going to re-prepare a new sample. So it's better to do multiple tests if you're going to be measuring the roast delta, because then you're going to get a much better representation of the whole thing rather than just such a tiny sample size, because there's so much variation here. And so we're still testing whole bean, so add another test. Okay, so this time it was 81.3. I forgot what it was the first time. Yeah, so 79.4, 81.3, so average together, our whole bean color is 80.3. So it's very useful to have that average if you're going to have variance in there. And clearly, there is variance in there. Whereas once you grind it, you're getting a much more homogenized example of like the whole spectrum of it. So you can do multiple samples depending on how precise you need to be with ground coffee. But I'm finding that one test is good enough if you're looking for like consistency. But anyway, so now what I can do is I can go back in my history here, and I've got all four. So I've got my Badu slow, I've got my Badu fast, my Badu counter fast, and my Badu counter slow. I can individually open each of these and look at it. So we had for the slow, the roast delta was 1.3. For the fast, the roast delta was 9.6. For the counter fast, roast delta is 15, and for the counter slow, the roast delta was 11. The slower the roast, the tighter the roast, the tighter the roast delta. And then something else that's interesting. If we look at this, we've got on the slow, the ground agtron was 56. On the fast, the ground agtron is 75. On the counter fast, 98, and on counter slow, 91. All of these were roasted to the same temperature. So you can clearly see that temperature and color are not related at all. Therefore, that's the benefit of OmniFlux, to be able to track your color during the roast and see how the color develops rather than tracking the temperature development. But there's a lot of research to be done on that front. So if you want to be at the forefront of that research, that would be appreciated, because we would love to see what your results are. Other than that, though, we've got our 4 winners, 3 particle analysis coasters and 1 DiFluid moment. And yeah, I appreciate you all staying if you stayed till the end. I haven't heard from anyone in the chat in a while, so Rosie, if you're still here, I appreciate you. Thank you for joining the stream and for being here the whole time. If you're gone, well, thank you for as long as you were here. And everyone else who chatted, I hope you come back next time. We'll definitely do more drawings like this. We'll definitely do more roasting experiments. And things are only going up and more interesting from here. So I'm going to put that last coffee away. And then I believe I'm going to end the stream. So I'll give you a chance to respond if you are still here. And if you're not, I love you all. And I will see you next time. So I'm going to dump these coffees in here. The roast machine is still cooling down. I'm going to turn off Omics. Hey, you are still here. Ooh, Kuso Gaming. I appreciate ya. It has been fun. I want to come to Australia and visit you. So I'm going to use the roast thing for dumping so that I don't miss. Whoa, where is, oh, here we go. Shazam. Hope to meet you sometime. Please visit UAE sometime. I definitely plan to. Every time I meet people, because of doing coffee stuff, every time I meet someone from the UAE, they're always so fascinating and interesting, and make it. I really want to come visit. We got to see if there's any Australian coffee festivals that we can come visit. Good excuse to come visit. Okay, last one was Badu 217 fast counter. All right. I think next week we should taste them all. I'm gonna put some in these tubes, and then next week we should taste them all and build a moment profile together. How's that sound? Would you join for that? I'll have to plan it out. But yeah, I think that's everything. And this is, ooh, good timing. It's about to reach 50. So that's probably cool enough. So I'm just gonna cancel cooldown. We done? Listen to the quiet. Ready? Listen to this. See you next time, guys.